In the novel, for the time being, Marcelino, Allison, and I have analyzed the section Israel in order to better understand Dillard's purpose of the book. With the use of religion as a platform, Dillard satirizes the individual, the society, and the religious thoughts on good and evil in order to highlight humanity's inability to question our rooted beliefs on existence.
I have never read any theologian who claims that God is particularly interested in religion anyway, Dillard says on page 79. With this quote, Dillard succeeds in harnessing the greatest power of all time, humor. By allowing some laughable light into this generally gray topic, she cracks open the minds of readers rooted in their beliefs and gets her point across in a way that is not only understood, but appreciated as well. The ceramic vessels are satirical representations of humanity in all of our hardened yet fragile beliefs. This section of Israel, pages 50 through 52, is about an otherworldly happening that prompts these vessels to break and for sparks to erupt. The rigid vessel shattering is a bit of a lightly antagonizing metaphor for what Dillard believes is happening to our minds as we consider our existence in new ways. Cataclysm, some say creation itself, disrupted this orderly progression. I found that this moment is important in Dillard's prolonged satirization of humans and our views towards things outside of our own skin, including other humans. By interjecting with this statement, Dillard winks at us with her humor once more to let us know that she understands some of life's most serious topics can be taken lightly. She is ultimately on our side throughout this deep and discomforting existential journey.
Dillard furthers her satirical style through the inclusion of evil deriving from good. In other words, her style indicates that the best way to question humanity's view of their higher being is by making light of and questioning humanity's religious views and practices. One of the key moments in the section of Israel where Dillard criticizes the good nature of our core religious beliefs occurs when she describes how our Creator may have made a mistake as evil began bursting out from the sparks of light within our world. While many religious sects believe all evil came from the devil, who tries to shadow over God's light, Dillard poses the possibility that God's light may actually be the demise of humanity. In other words, our world's imperfections derive from the light instead of the dark. By posing this thought of evil being correlated to God's divine nature, Dillard not only rejects traditional religious beliefs, but also criticizes religious modernists for their unwillingness to explore other possibilities outside of their realm of comfort. In addition, Dillard includes two objects that satirize the good and evil nature that exists in our universe. The light of our world is symbolized with the presence of the red and yellow moth that was present in the garden. This moth, as it feeds on white and blue flowers, presents the audience with an image of a pure and heavenly environment. However, less than a foot away from Dillard, a bloody and headless snake lays in the bushes. This paradox of objects between light and dark symbolizes that our planet, even in the holiest of places, churches, synagogues, etc., have evil sparks lurking around the corner and cling to the purest of people. Every year, 60 million people die. Of these, half are children under 5. Of every 75 babies born in the United States, 1 will die in the car crash. This quote exemplifies Dillard's satire. She pessimistically includes the statistic that the large portion of individuals that die are those who are infants and toddlers. Thus, Dillard once again questions the good nature of God, as she points out the flaws in the thought process of this divine creature. How can, she asks, a pure infant be equally subject to death as that of an adult sinner? In other words, how can the most innocent people on this planet be subject to an inevitable death before they even have the chance to sin?
Furthermore, Annie Dillard continues to use her satirical remarks to reveal that religion gets its flaws from the societal actions people created towards their beliefs. This societal criticism is first seen when Dillard says it seems to take all the keenest thinkers of every religion and every generation to fend off this clamoring pack. It's page 76. Here, Dillard criticizes the religious people who always feel the need to wrongfully defend their faith. Dillard uses sarcasm to claim how it appears that for generations, religious people have always been attempting to defend themselves from any criticism claimed towards them. Dillard then begins to exclaim the fact that this type of defense the society has created towards their beliefs has harmed their religion more than it has manifested it. During the moment in which Dillard describes her experience within the Church of the Nativity, immediately she states that the first thing she noticed was that no one can see the church anyway, because many monasteries clamp onto it in clusters like barnacles, page 77. Annie Dillard is criticizing how the society has decided to build many monasteries around one of the biggest landmarks of Christianity, as if they were protecting it from outsiders. This landmark resembles the birthplace of a religion, and Annie Dillard attempts to criticize religious people for covering or hiding it from others to see. This therefore symbolizes the idea that these people put themselves in the way between the hidden truth and those who seek to find the truth. Dillard may feel that in order to find the truth, the society must step aside and quit attempting to hide or protect their beliefs. There should be no middleman separating the people and the truth. Additionally, throughout Dillard's satirical criticism of societal actions towards religion, she frequently mentions the oil lamps hung in layers all throughout the dungeon-like corridors within the Church of the Nativity, page 78. Dillard claims that while she was on her way down to the grotto of the Nativity, there was nothing to breathe but the lamp's oily fumes and people's exhalations. Furthermore, she claims that each lamp seemed to absorb more light than its orange flame emitted, so the more lamps shone, the darker the space, page 78 and 80. Annie Dillard uses the orange flame that's emitted to exemplify the sparks of divine light, or in other words, the light of God, page 50. She criticizes how so many religious people in the Church of the Nativity are surrounded around each lamp. They breathe and exhale near the lamps, causing the oily fume of the light to become weaker and no longer let the orange flame illuminate as it once did. This object continues to symbolize the idea of how society is responsible for the problems of religion.
Clearly, Dillard effectively questions and criticizes religious beliefs through the individual, the society, and the theme of evil versus good.